This is my bearded dragon. He's a juvenile. He's in quarantine right now, which is why he's in this small cage. He had an illness. What happened was I allowed him to gorge himself on mealworms, which I have heard from several different sources that that's what you should do with juvenile bearded dragons. I believe I may have got a bad batch of mealworms because the next day he had thrown them up. And with the vomiting, he also began having seizures. Now, I looked it up and I did as much research as I could on the seizures. And what I found out was that the main cause of seizures in bearded dragons is a calcium deficiency. So I've been treating him for that. In the meantime, I have him in this little cage. I have him on cage carpet, which I think it's better because that way none of the substrate gets into the food. I'm able to examine the fecal matter very closely and make sure that he doesn't have anything strange going on with that. I'm also able to see if he's eaten all of his food or not. None of it gets buried in the sand. I don't have to do any searching for it. And this allows me to maintain a temperature gradient that I feel is necessary for his getting better from his illness. So what I've done here is I put the cage carpet in. There is a rock heater over here for the basking area. He needs to be very warm, especially with an illness. You need to keep your reptiles extra warm. I also have a thermometer on the side right there so that I can monitor the temperatures and make sure I don't overheat him. I do have the basking light overhead, so he has heat coming from both directions, and he can really warm himself if he feels he needs to on that side. Over here, I've been keeping his food and water dishes. It's a cooler area. It's a good 20 degrees cooler on this side of the tank. So right now he's trying to cool off a little bit. He feels it's a little bit warm in there. So if you see here, there's little bits of skin on the bottom, and that is shed from him. With his illness, it's a little bit more difficult for him to shed. So what I've done is I soaked him for about 15 minutes. Bearded dragons, you don't usually soak. If you do, it's for very short periods of time. But I soaked him for about 20 minutes, 15, 20 minutes, and it seems to be working quite well. You can see the skin here, and it comes off in little patches. It's not expected to be in a very large piece. He's also got some fecal matter in there, and that's the first one since his illness began, so that's good. I'm going to need to be able to examine that. So this also allows me to see that he has eaten the vegetables that I've put in here. I've dusted them with a supplement for added minerals to help him recover. And he's also got his little water dish over there, which he's been drinking quite a bit. Keeping your animals in quarantine like this when they have an illness or are recovering from an illness is very beneficial for the reasons that I mentioned, the monitoring, and that way you can really maintain a temperature gradient that you feel is necessary for your ill bearded dragon.